So you want to start off by going into the App Store, typing in SolarView, and then finding the result and downloading it or hitting open. Choose electrical equipment from the menu, and this is where you can import the photo from your site visit. To try and match the proportions of the solar equipment, we use the meter as a reference. So line up the green circle with the meter and then click Next. And it's not always going to be perfect, but the models that you launch should be relatively in proportion from the distance that you took the photo from. You can see we have the N-phase combiner box here. And the benefit of working with 3D models is that you can match the vantage point that you took the photograph from. Often you won't have this much room on the side of a house to be able to get a straight-on shot. So having the 3D models will allow you to rotate the equipment so that it matches the vantage point that you took the photograph from. You'll see that we have all sorts of conduit extensions from LBs to curved conduit. But if there's things that you are using in your installations that we don't have, please let us know so that we can build them. That also goes for inverters, batteries, disconnect boxes, anything out there. So you'll see when I launch this piece of horizontal conduit that it appears to get bigger and smaller, but what I'm actually doing is dragging it on the blue arrow, which is the Z axis. So what that does is it actually pulls a piece of equipment closer or further away. So you may find that the piece of conduit does not look like it's running through the combiner box or the AC disconnect. So you can use the blue arrow on the Z axis to move things further and closer away. They're not actually getting bigger or smaller, they're just moving in the virtual space on the scene. Now we have not made it so you can lengthen and shorten the curve of the conduit yet, so you'll see how I need to adjust the position of this curved conduit, and thus I have to work backwards and move the other pieces so that it all matches up. So you'll see that I'm repositioning the rest of the conduit to match up, and when I click this piece of curved conduit, it's not a bug, but we made it so that whenever you re-engage a piece of equipment, it's always on the last thing that you had it on. So this was still stuck on rotation, so when I needed to just adjust the position of it, I had to actually move the combiner panel so that I could select it and switch it back over to the XYZ position tool. So in my experience doing this for my solar customers, I've come across these different things that can make the tool easier or harder to use. And if you have any suggestions or things that are tripping you up while you're trying to build these visual estimates, please let us know. You can email me directly, Brian, B-R-Y-A-N, at solarview.app. So I'm lengthening the conduit so we can show it kind of go off screen here. And sometimes you'll have mixed results when you're trying to do this, but know that we are always working to improve this. So once you feel good about what you've created, you click Save Screenshot, and that'll allow you to choose the folder you want to save it to, and your visual estimate's ready to show to the customer. So let's look at one other example. So this example, there is no meter in the picture. So you skip the green circle, and what that means is that the equipment is going to launch at an arbitrary size. So that's where you can go ahead and reposition it and click the scale button to, just kind of eyeball it and say, okay, this feels about right. Now you'll see that this is a pre-made layout. So there's the AC disconnect, the conduit, the LB, but you may find that this is not the layout that you need. So as you go around and adjust it, once you click the edit button, you can actually change the components that are there and delete what you don't want, make the conduit bigger or smaller. And so in this I chose to delete everything else, keep the conduit, and now I'm going to show how my run is going to actually go underneath the house, going down through that grate below the N-phase combiner panel. So again, sometimes the controls can fall behind one of the other ones, so that's why I moved that so that I could get to the controls for the piece of conduit. just some of the bugs that we're always kind of trying to work through, and we appreciate your patience there. So you see how when I click the button on the far left, two menus pop up. One is for adding conduit extensions on the top, and the other is for the bottom of the panel. So you see how I chose the LB, and now I can select it independently and rotate it so that it matches the angle where my conduit will actually go. If you move the bigger piece of conduit, then the extension will go with it. So once you're satisfied, you click Save Screenshot, and now you're ready to show it to your electrician or the homeowner. Thanks for checking out this tutorial. Please check out our other ones about adding panels to the roof and also ground mounted things like carports and architectural structures.